Guys, welcome on into week 2 of college football preview and predictions. I'm Freddie. I'm joined by Quinn and Chase here from Three Bold Takes. And what an exciting week 1 and week 0 we've had already. Excited to kick off week 2. I want to say, what's the updated kind of records so far for like week 0 and week 1?
Okay. Yeah. I really like that you pointed that out, Fred. I'll tell you this. Quinn missed just a couple games, so we'll just call it even. Everybody's 0 across the board. I think that's just the way to play it. Quinn, missed a few. Chase missed just a couple, and then Freddie, you missed about 4 or 5. So I think it's just the
Chase missed a few. That's a good way to say like 12.
yeah. So, of course, if you guys have been following us, me and Freddie ran a couple on our own last week. So Quinn, I think, missed 3 total out of his 22. I missed 12 out of the 35 so far.
12 out of 35. Okay.
Out of 35. And then Freddie missed 5 out of the 35 so far. We're actually recording right now, if you don't know, during the North Carolina and TCU game. I actually don't know the score of that one. So, but I picked the UNC and Freddie picked the TCU. So somebody is getting another loss. It won't be me. All right, Freddie.
It will be.
It will be. Now, I bring that up because we do get like a lot of comments, which we love to hear and read. It's a lot of comments about how we don't know what we're talking about and you're an idiot and this and that. I just wanted to say I'm 30-5 so far in week 0 and week 1. However, in this week, I'm probably going to go 0-12. Okay, because we're doing about 12 games, 11, 12 games so far in week 2. We're starting off with an 11 a.m. game. We have Illinois at Duke. Now, this is an interesting game here. Obviously, Illinois is ranked in the top 15. Will probably be in the top 10, considering 2 of the teams, actually 3 in the top 10 already have lost. So far, it may be 4 at this point. But Illinois comes in as a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Duke. Quinn, initial thoughts on this game?
I'll tell you my initial thoughts on this game. Duke is where ranked teams go to die, okay? I like the Duke Blue Devils as a random, why the heck is this team in the conversation for a playoff spot in November team? They play a very weak ACC schedule, and the likelihood of them having a chance at a playoff spot hinges on winning this game against Illinois. I think Illinois is a team that had a really great year last year, and everybody's really hype on them, but they win games in an ugly fashion, which means I don't care who you are, you're going to get to hang around, okay? And I think this Duke team has a chance to make some noise at home. And like those commenters say that we don't know what we're talking about, you're correct. We're 3 idiots in our respective bedrooms picking college football games. Give me the Duke Blue Devils to beat the Fighting Brett Bielemas and get a W over Illinois.
Yeah, I'm actually not very mad at that, Quinn. I'm not, because this is almost a pick'em game. This is one of those where it's like it could really you gotta remember, before college football playoff rankings come out, like these numbers in front of the teams really don't matter all that much. Circa see Alabama at Florida State week 1. It doesn't matter a whole bunch. We're still figuring out these teams. Illinois played really well the first week in their rivalry game against Western Illinois as they hosted them at home and beat them 52-3. But Duke played really well too. Me and Freddie made fun of them last week for playing Elon. But I got to say, Mensa, kid from Tulane, he transferred over after oh my gosh, the kid that from Texas left. I forget his name off the top of my head. But Mensa has come in and did a wonderful job in week 1. 27 pass completions, only 34 attempts. Kid went for 389 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just absolutely lit up the field, was a highlight. And then Manny Diaz's defense is always going to perform. I think they're really good, very stout, taking back to when he was back at Penn State just a few years ago before he got this job. The Penn State defense was always very tough, and I think he brought that edge to Duke. I think he's going to do a really good job there, too. I really like this game, but I am one of those idiots on the hype train of the Illinois Fighting Illini. I think they are a very solid team. I think they're a great team. And I think that Altmaier, Brett Bielema, I think the rest of them, I'll be an idiot on this train. I've already got enough losses to count that I need a fourth hand for. I'll take another one here. If they lose it, I'm going to go Illinois.
Yeah, listen, again, we've said this time and time again. It's hard to take a lot for week one when these teams play borderline high school teams. I'm just throwing that out there, okay? But Mensa did go 11 for 11 in the second half. I mean, almost 400 yards passing. Chase, you touched on it. He looked unbelievable in the game. Yes, you're playing Elon, right? However, it's still a good performance no matter who you're playing.
Yeah.
And on the Illinois game, it's very. I think they had like 130-ish like punt return yards in that game, including like a punt return touchdown. So a lot of special teams play in that game for Illinois. This one's tough, man, because I think it could be dangerous. Like I think both of these teams are very dangerous long term in their with their respective schedules. And so having them play in week 2 is fun. I'm just going to say that. It's very, very fun. Illinois is very good in the trenches, though. That's one thing that I did notice. And even like going back to last year, they've really improved the lines of scrimmage and how they play games and how they attack their opponent. And listen, that's just Brent Bielema for you. That's just the way he is, right? That's he's always been that way no matter where he's gone. Arkansas the whole nine. I tell you what, a Duke upset would spark some ACC confidence, though. Like preseason, a lot of people were talking about how the ACC it's a 2-man show, whatever. Well, you got Florida State upsetting Alabama, and if Duke could upset Illinois, you're talking about maybe one of the 2 best conferences in all of football. So I'm just gonna quit. Listen. I'm just saying. There's a chance that you could see 3 or 4 possible ACC teams in because the way the schedules line up, they don't all play each other. So you get a lot of 10-2s that don't make the conference championship. And at that point, a lot of ACC teams in the playoffs. I got Illinois winning this game, though. I think it's going to be an extremely tight game. I do think they cover I think it's 2.5 spread. I will say, 4 weeks ago, maybe this line was at 10.5. Illinois is favored by 10.5, and now it's down to 2.5. So interesting there. We will move on. Another 11 o'clock game. We've got the Baylor Bears, who are 0-1, obviously, after losing to Auburn in week 1 against SMU, number 16 ranked SMU. SMU does come in as a 3-point favorite. I thought this was interesting. ESPN matchup predictor, SMU favored by 66.5 as their win percentage, but only a 3-point spread. Chase, let's go to you first.
If you've watched The Incredibles, the little short lady, Edna, says, it's opposite the day. I want to switch it up. Last week, I chose Baylor. I chose Baylor strongly, I think, actually. It was a little bit of a decision. No longer will I pick Baylor this season or Dave Aranda and his bald head. I am easily going SMU in this game for no more than the fact that I can't stand looking at the Baylor uniform anymore. SMU, I think, will continue to have a strong build-off from last season. Yes, they played East Texas A&M and whatnot, whatever. But they have a lot of guys that returned from last year. Big so is Kevin Jennings, probably going to be a Heisman mention at some point this season in the running, probably. So I think he's going to do well, and that's all it's about. Lashley is a offensive guru. Has been at SMU since they've made that move up to the ACC and everything. I think SMU is going to be a great team. And, I mentioned the number in front of the teams just a video ago when we were talking about Illinois. It doesn't matter. I mean, Baylor just got absolutely spanked by the Tigers, and I've never seen something like you think you'd have a little more pride. It's the first time you ever host an SEC team in your own home stadium, and you get absolutely spanked by a team that has a quarterback that barely knows how to throw north and south. What are you talking about? He ran on you like he was prime Lamar Jackson opening week for Louisville for his junior season. What are we doing? SMU.
Yeah, he is mad. I am a little disappointed. I also put some faith in Baylor. I thought they'd have a little bit of magic hosting their first SEC team. But I'm not just like picking against them out of spite. I just think SMU is a pretty good team, man. Like they're the roster that money can buy. You're telling me SMU can go and buy players now and not get in trouble for it? Yeah, they're gonna. Like, what do you mean? Like, so yeah, give me SMU to win this game. I like what they got going. I think they'll be probably a 8 or 9 win team this year in the ACC. They draw a little bit tougher schedule than they did last year, but give me the Mustangs to get it done.
Sawyer Robinson threw for over 400 yards against Auburn. That's tough, dude. Like that, 3 touchdowns. But here's the thing: they gave up 300 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Auburn had over 300 yards rushing the ball against Baylor. That's a big problem. And I expect SMU to try to exploit that in this game, especially at home. They're going to try to slow it down a little bit because Baylor can get dangerous really quickly throwing the football. And if you can keep them off the field and you can keep your offense on and run the ball and punch it down their throat, control the clock, you're going to win the game. So give me SMU to win as well. I think they cover the 3 points. I think they win by about 7 or 10 probably. Would be my go-to there. Next up, Quinn, I know you're going to absolutely love this game. This is your type of football right here. We've got another 11 o'clock game. Iowa at Iowa State. This game, Iowa State's favored by 3.5 here. They have a 65% chance to win, according to ESPN. So, Quinn, let's just send it over to you first. I know you're excited to talk about this game.
Well, yeah, actually, you know what? I'll be right back, everybody. I'll be right back. Do you think that I would put my son in this if I'm ever going to pick the Iowa Hawkeyes to beat the Cyclones? Get out of here. Okay, we won our 3rd straight over Kansas State 2 weeks ago. I got on here with my whole chest, said that we were going to do it. You guys thought I was insane for thinking Iowa State could be a Big 12 contender. We're going to beat down on that 1987 style offense that they got out there in freaking Iowa City, and we're going to dominate our way to at least 11 wins this season. Give me the Cyclones. That's all I got to say.
Okay, sorry, I'm looking at something. You chose Iowa State, you said?
Absolutely.
Of course you are. So I'll say this. I don't know much. Not much at all. I think I picked Kansas State to upset Iowa State or beat Iowa State in the opening game. I was wrong on that. I'll give you a fun fact, though. This game is played on September 6, 2025. Never, and I mean never, has this game been played on September 6th in this rivalry. And they've been playing in September since 1977.
Wow.
In the month of September. I'm looking at it. It's just crazy because they played last year the 7th, the year before the 9th, 10th, 11th, 14th, 8th, 9th. It just goes all the way. They've just been playing basically from like September 7th to like the 16th for the last like 20 years. Sorry, that's just weird, nerd, whatever. This is like picking between watching paint dry or like syrup being poured.
Get out of here.
It's just one of the worst. Like Iowa has no offense, never does, never will. I think there was a clip over the summer where an Iowa quarterback threw a 5-yard out route, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, watch out!" And it was like for Iowa, that was something. It's. I never feel good about picking Iowa to win offensively, but defensively, what was that game? I think they beat Nebraska one year, like 15-10. Like, who does that? And I think they won on a punt return. Like, what are you doing?
Nebraska, Chase.
But Iowa State, not too many. Iowa State has been solid so far this season. They already got a top 25 win over Kansas State, who I think Kansas State will still be a very good team in the Big 12. They'll still be a 9-3, 10-4 at the end of the season after bowl games and stuff. I think they'll still be there. I'm going to go Iowa State in this one because they've already showed a little bit of that offensive prowess. I think they're going to have a back-to-back win in this series for the first time in a long time, actually. So I'm going to go Iowa State and the Cyclones in this one.
I love this game. I do. I don't know why. Why do I like watching Iowa play football? What? Like why? Like just like you said, Chase. It's like watching paint dry or syrup falling. I've never heard that one before. That's a new expression for me.
You gotta just
Um,
watch it.
you just gotta watch it. Yeah, it takes a long time and it's pretty ugly. But now I understand the reference. No, but so Rocco Beck for Iowa State last week was nearly perfect. 19 of 20 for 183 yards and a touchdown. 19 to 20, 278 yards and 3 touchdowns. Way different than Kansas State. But I think that Iowa is a little bit closer to Kansas State than Iowa is to South Dakota in the way that they play football. Iowa last week had a lot of rushing yards, which you would expect from Iowa. They also controlled the clock very heavily, which you would expect from Iowa. I think they had the ball for over 40 minutes in the game. It was an all-around offensive, impressive performance for an Iowa team. That's terrible to say. Iowa State's very, very explosive, though, and I think that's the one thing that Iowa is going to be able to limit is explosive plays in this game. Whatever the under is, I don't have it in front of me. Take it. I'm just going to say that I would probably take it. Give me Iowa to win. I'm going Iowa to beat Iowa State. I think they're going to lean heavy on the run game. They're going to control the clock. They're going to keep Rocco Beck off the field. Although I will say, Quinn, I'm leaning more Iowa State in the Big 12 now than Kansas State. So I'll give you that one, but I do think that Iowa gets gets the win in a close, gritty rivalry game. But yep, just ugly. Moving on to a 2:30 matchup. We have an SEC game in week 2 here, gentlemen. Quinn, I know you had mentioned that earlier, but it's a 2:30 matchup. Ole Miss and Kentucky. Ole Miss comes as a 10.5-point favorite with an 83% chance to win the game, according to ESPN. It is at Kentucky in the first SEC matchup of the year. Chase.
Wow. I'm glad you came to me first. I'm surprised we're not talking maybe Austin Peay, Georgia. That might be a more interesting game. Ole Miss just waxes here, and I think absolutely waxes Kentucky. Texas A&M job opened up, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, keep Mark Stoops away. We can't let Mark Stoops leave Kentucky. We can't leave Lexington, please." And that was probably good for Texas A&M. Mark Stoops is probably, and which is it's not saying much, but it's probably on the down slope of his coaching career at Kentucky. The highs are going to be an 8, 9, 10 win team, and the lows are going to be a 3, 4 win team. A first week, Toledo was a good team last year. Don't get me wrong. They were a good team, solid bowl team. They won the game in was it 6 overtimes or 3 overtimes? It was a lot of overtimes. It was a great game to watch if you didn't watch it. Beat Pittsburgh. But winning by 8 in week 1 at home to Toledo is just you're not showing me much. And you got this kid from Penn State, and I know the last Penn State transfer quarterback kind of worked out for you with Will Levis, but at the same point, I don't know. Or maybe that might be the wrong guy. No, it's Calzada. My bad. Wrong team. Calzada, who that's actually even worse because you're talking about Texas A&M, Auburn, Incarnate Word, and then now at Kentucky, 7th-year kid. Yeah, give me Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They always have something. They're going to be a really good team, and I think Ole Miss is everybody's like, oh, Ole Miss lost a lot, and I think they did last year, but I think they reload pretty well on the offensive side of the ball. I got the Rebels.
Yeah, guys, when you think of SEC football, don't you think of Ole Miss versus Kentucky?
Yeah.
What a season opener, right? First, I want to say I will not accept Mark Stoops slander on this show. Kentucky historically is the worst. Not Vandy. Kentucky is the worst SEC team all time. So the fact that this man consistently gets them to bowl games is a miracle. And that should never go understated. All right. That being said, this game will go one of 2 ways. Either Ole Miss wins by 35 plus points, or Kentucky still has hope in their first SEC game, and they somehow find a way to hold a team that's way better than them to like a 3-point victory. I'm leaning that route. Ole Miss is going to win the game, but I think it's going to be stupid close, and everyone's going to be like, oh no, is Ole Miss terrible and is Kentucky good? No, Ole Miss is like slightly above average, and Kentucky's still bad. It's just week 1, and Kentucky's playing way out of their mind. That's what I think we're going to get out of this game, but give me the Rebels to win close.
Ole Miss in week 1 had 695 yards of total offense, led the FBS in week 1 in total offense. Calzada had 83 passing yards. 83 passing yards. And you can tell me, oh, what's Toledo? Chase, just like you said, Toledo was really good last year. 83 passing yards. Brother, that's bad. Bad. And, man, I think this might be a slaughter fest. I mean, I've got Ole Miss winning this game. I think now here's the thing. Kentucky at home is dangerous for one game a year, right?
Yeah.
Like you think Georgia a couple of years ago, they didn't win, but they should have won the game. And every single year they're dangerous at home against one team. That is not this one. Ole Miss is going to win by 50 points probably. Like this is not 10.5 is the spread here. Brother, that was the spread for Kentucky and Toledo. I'm laying the 10.5 and I'm putting my house on it. I don't even think it's freaking close. I'm not actually doing that. Okay, that's a little absurd. I will admit, but I think there's just no shot. There's no shot that Kentucky can get it done.
Hey, Sturdy, they have a hotline for you, okay? But let me tell you this. All right. Here's what I'll say. We just got done talking about the Kentucky of the Big Ten and Iowa. Kentucky is the Iowa of the SEC. They're going to win ugly against nobodies, and then they're going to lose close against good teams because of the way they play football.
It just makes overguess. You compensate. You're like, man, they just played Georgia really well. Maybe Georgia's not the team we thought they were. And then it's like, oh, dude, Kentucky just lost to Grambling State by what? And it's just how it is. So,
moving on. 3:15 Saturday. Amazing in-state rival here. Vigorous rivalry. South Florida at the Florida Gators. Tough game. Tough game here.
Huge.
Listen.
Huge.
Florida's favored by 17.5 points with an 82% chance to win according to ESPN. But we know what South Florida and them boys can do. Quinn, Mr. Florida Gator hater here. What you got?
Okay, one, I'm not a Florida Gator hater anymore. That was 2 seasons ago. Get with the times. I'm accepting that Florida could be actually pretty decent this year, okay? Not the best venue in Florida. I'll die on that hill. That's Doak Campbell. Okay. Not a top 3 venue in the SEC. I'll die on that hill too. I think the Swamp's incredibly overrated. But I'll tell you this. South Florida's covering that spread. They're going to lose this game. Florida will win the game. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I have watched South Florida play above their level in a non-con situation for like 4 or 5 years straight now. And I expect that to continue. So give me South Florida to make the game compelling, Florida to pull away late, and win the game by about 10.
Yeah, dude, let me first just shout out Byron Brown. Kid is a stud for South Florida. And I'm not only saying that just because they won, they beat Boise State big. I thought Boise State would still pull that game out just because of the team Boise State usually always is. So South Florida laid it to them well. And not only that, but I'm shouting out Brown specifically because there were times where it's like I think he's about 6'4", 230, something like that. He's got that Cam Newton, Tim Tebow build. He's a big guy, Lenore Sellers even. And he was seeking out contact. There was one specific moment I watched where he's in the ball is over the goal line. Safety comes over and he lowers his shoulder. Not the safety dealer. Byron Brown puts his shoulder into that Boise State safety and let him eat the ground. And that was all right, you just don't see that anymore. Definitely not from quarterbacks. Because quarterbacks are usually going to save themselves, trying not to get injured. The kid is a stud. This is his first time being a full-time starter. I think he was injured last year, but in 2023 led the team in passing and rushing. So shout out the Bulls. Shout out South Florida. Shout out Alex Gesh as well, the head coach. He came from Tennessee. I think Gesh might be wrong. He's offensive coordinator at Tennessee.
I like to call him Grinch.
Gresh, yeah, it might be like Alex Gresh, something like that. But he knows how to make up an offensive scheme, and he's got South Florida playing well and playing in a tough conference in the American. But sorry, Florida's my team. Like, there's not many teams I have, but Florida, well, that's a lie. I'm sorry, I have a couple. But Florida is one of my true. Like, as soon as DJ Lagway got to the driver's seat, I knew Florida was going the way. And Billy Napier seemed to figure that out a little bit. I think DJ Lagway is the truth. I think he's a top 2 Heisman candidate this season. I think he's going to be everywhere and anywhere. I think it's going to be a tight game heading into the fourth, probably, maybe a score, maybe 10 points. But I think eventually you're going to see maybe like a Florida 21-point win, something of that nature. I'm going to take DJ Lagway in Florida.
Yeah, Chase, you mentioned it about Byron Brown. Unbelievable quarterback. Glad he's healthy. He's very fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching him play against Boise State. But I'm going to say this, and this is to take nothing away from South Florida at all. But Boise State fumbled the ball 3 times and lost all 3 of the fumbles. When you watch the game, USF had momentum the entire game. I don't think that they were a better team than Boise State, though. I still think that Boise State's a better team than USF. They just struggled to turn the ball over. Florida, listen, week 1, they played Long Island. Okay, won 55-0, whatever. DJ Lagway looked amazing because it's Long Island. I think USF is going to come into this game a little bit too big for their britches and hyped up after the Boise State game and expect themselves to be able to play with Florida, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to be out of their element. They're going to be outmanned. The one thing is I don't know if they're going to be outcoached. I still it's tough down there in Gainesville for me. But I've got Florida. I mean, I think they're going to win the game. And I do think they cover the spread, but I think it's going to be a late cover. I think it's going to be teetering right on that line, and they're going to score with about 4 minutes left just to put the nail in the coffin to go ahead and cover that spread. But give me Florida in that one. 2:30, we're actually going backwards in time because we're time travelers here at 3 Bold Takes. If you did not know that, you do now. 2:30 matchup on ESPN2. This is a fun one here. I know, Quinn, you're super excited for this one for sure. We've got Kansas at Missouri. Missouri is a 6.5-point favorite with a 64% chance to win against Kansas. Quinn, I want to sling it over to you first to give us a little bit of the history of this game and importance of it.
Oh yeah, we're getting a revitalization of the border war. This one got me real excited when I saw this was coming up. Most prominent matchup of this was 2007. Both teams had an outside shot at a BCS national title. Not even outside. I mean, they were literally ranked in the top 3, both of them. And Missouri got the big win, went to the Big 12 title game, then got beat by Oklahoma. And so both missed out on the BCS National Championship. What a sad world we live in. We got LSU versus Ohio State instead of Kansas versus West Virginia. Anyway, as far as this matchup goes, let's be real. This is a huge, huge game for Missouri in the sense that I think they're going to struggle in the SEC a little bit this year. I expect them to kind of fall off. They're one of the teams I don't have high hopes for. So getting a big non-con win against an old school rival, very important if you're the Missouri Tigers. But for Kansas, and Freddie, we touched on this in our little Big 12 reaction video. Kansas looks pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. And to be an outside contender in the Big 12, and it's very important to get a big win here on the road against an SEC opponent. Correct me if I'm wrong, it is in Missouri, correct?
At Missouri.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think that's the thing that undoes Kansas in this game. I think they got to go on the road into Missouri. I'm not convinced they have what it takes to get that done. So give me the Tigers to get the win. Reluctantly, I'll go with Missouri here.
Yeah, I'll add the biggest thing with Kansas is we know Kansas can be a good team. The biggest question mark every season has been kind of like what Utah had to deal with. Can Jalen Daniels stay healthy? If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, this team can be a top 15. Definitely now with what we have in college football, could potentially be talking about a playoff team at some point. But around game 6, around game 7, there's an injury with Jalen Daniels. It starts to linger. He plays through it once or twice, and then it's just he can't play anymore, and he's out. They go from 6-1, 5-2, and then it's like, all right, now they're 7-5, and they're playing in the Pop Tart Bowl or something. I don't know, the Campbell Soup Bowl, whatever it is. So that's it. And like already this season, kids 36 for 45 through 2 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, nearly 500 passing yards in 2 games. Yes, they played Fresno State, but they handled them well. Yes, they played Wagner. They also handled them well. Missouri, though, this was the quarterback I had mixed up with Kentucky. Privula, Penn State transfer. He's played solid through a game so far, 23 of 28, a couple touchdowns, 283 yards. Strong showing. Definitely when Brady Cook left last season, he was a 2-3 year starter for Mizzou. They had a lot of guys, Luther Burden, the whole nine, a lot of your offense left. And so you're thinking about, okay, like, where are we going to go as a team? Eli Drinkwitz, not a huge fan, but Missouri has had 2 weeks to think about this game. They've only played one, and they had a bye week. And they're sitting here just staring at the Kansas Jayhawks on their schedule. And they're probably just like Quinn. They probably know this rivalry. They probably know it's a rivalry, right? You know, who wouldn't? You know, inside those locker rooms. But Kansas here, they've had 2 weeks, and now they only have 1 week to prepare. Missouri has 2. And that is why I'm obviously going with Kansas, because it doesn't matter how much time Missouri has to prepare. Kansas is going to show you why Kansas has a top 3 chance to be a Big 12 champion this season. It's wide open. Why not show everybody in the Big 12, hey, we can play big boy ball and beat one of the scraps in the SEC? I think that's what they're going to do here in week 3 and take on Missouri. I think it's going to be a close one, though. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be one of those weird, like, 23-19 games. I don't know, something like you'd see from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know, something wacky. So, but give me Kansas and the Jayhawks. Shout out McLovin.
So I think this game is going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a little bit different than the 23-19. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch because, like you both said, this is a rivalry game that it's been a while, and it's part of me thinks that's why the players aren't really going to see it as a rivalry game, because I didn't really like. I knew they used to play back in the day, but I didn't think it was this huge rivalry game, and obviously the history with the national title and things like that. But Chase, you hit the nail on the head for me. Kansas's offense looks like it's clicking on all cylinders. It did in week 1 against Fresno State. Like, a lot of people, I'm talking a lot of people was in our comment section saying that that you should take Fresno State and lay the points, that they would cover that spread. That was not the case. Kansas ended up winning and looking really, really, really good at it. They've played 2 games. I would argue a bye week this early in the year means nothing, absolutely nothing. I think playing that extra game in Kansas actually is going to help them more than a bye week would for Missouri. So give me Kansas to win this game. I like Kansas to get it done on the road. It's a tough one to pick too, also. Especially when a team like Missouri has played a high school before, and Kansas has played 2 football teams, collegiate football teams. Well, 1.5. So we'll see. We'll see how that one shakes up.
And I'd like to add this, man. At some point, as a Missouri fan, maybe, you know, people inside the organization, whatever, realizes that Eli Drinkwitz is not the guy. Maybe that's a word. I don't know the sentence. I'm just not a fan. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched Eli Drinkwitz coach and say, yeah, that's the guy. Give him to me. Maybe at the group of 5 level when he was at App State, but just not at Mizzou, and definitely not an SEC team. They had their one Cotton Bowl. Yeah, they had Cotton Bowl. Yeah, they went to the Cotton Bowl. Cool. Whatever. Who cares? You know, everybody You know what do they say about those blind squirrels? They find a nut. Eli
Every
Drinkwish
now and then.
wishes he could find more nuts than one. So anyway, I'll just say that Missouri sucks.
Okay, all right. Well, with that being said, guys, we're going to move on to the 6:30 matchup. Very interesting one. We have a rematch from last year. These two teams signed a home and home. This time it's at Mississippi State. We've got Arizona State traveling all the way to Starkville to listen to them dadgone cowbells, and they gonna learn. They're gonna learn what it's about. It's not just on TV. It's no big deal. They're loud. It's something you never see, except for when you play Mississippi State. So Chase, I want to go to you first here, but before I do that, Arizona State, 6.5-point favorites. They've got a 54% chance to win according to ESPN.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this game, sort of. I'm actually have grown onto the Arizona State bandwagon since last year. And not just from the playoffs, like during the year, watching them. They're a pretty fun team. Had a true freshman at quarterback last year, now into a sophomore. Strong kid, great arm. Sam Levitt is a lot of fun to watch. Is absolutely you thought there might be a drop off losing what felt like the cornerstone in Cam Scatterbo to the NFL, but Sam Levitt just really picked it up. Jordan Tyson as well has been a magnificent receiver on the outside. I think he got hurt early on in a game this season, but I think he's shaped back out pretty well. And those Bulldogs, man, just under Jeff Levy have not found it just yet. They just beat out in-state rival Southern Miss at and talk to me about that, guys. An SEC team at Hattiesburg at Southern Miss in week 1.
Tough.
When you know you're down bad, they escape with a 17-point win. And yes, I still say escape because why in the world are you at Southern Miss and only winning by 17? I think at one point it was like a one-score lead for Mississippi State. I don't think Mississippi State's found it just yet, and I'm really all over the train of Villingham and Sam Levitt. I think that offense is electric. I'm not sure if I'm on the train that they're going to go back to the college football playoffs this year, but that is, again, the Big 12 is absolutely wide open, and Arizona State has all the juice to get there and get it done. So give me Arizona State to win.
Yeah, I'll start with this. I know Arizona State didn't impress very much with their 38-19 victory over Northern Arizona, but neither did Mississippi State going down to Hattiesburg and winning by 17 against Southern Miss. And I think, frankly, here in the last handful of years, really in the post-Dan Mullen era, Mississippi State is one of those teams that SEC homers, like they play their non-con game against some like Big 12 or Pac-12 or ACC team that you don't really watch, and you go, oh, well, they're a low-tier SEC team against a low-tier so-and-so team. They should win, and then they lose. And like SEC homers lose money picking Mississippi State in these kind of games. I'm not about to get on here and pick Mississippi State in this game. I think Arizona State is a better coach team who will take a lot of pride in coming in and beating Mississippi State in this scenario. So give me Arizona State to win the game. I'm not falling into this SEC homer bias. All right, give me Arizona State.
And before Freddie goes, this time last year, Mississippi State did go to Arizona State, but only lost by a touchdown. Let me throw that out there.
Yeah.
Mississippi State was a miserable team last year, but only lost 30-23. So it can still relatively be close. Fred.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, a 30-23 win for Arizona State last year, who had an amazing season with Cam Scatterbo. We know the whole deal with Arizona State last year, and we know the whole deal with Mississippi State last year being terrible. This is an ugly game, dude. This is I'll say this, Quinn. You hit the nail on the head there about the SEC homers and the betting situation. I think this is a type of game that Vegas loves or they hate, because this is also a situation where an Arizona State team's never played Mississippi State in Starkville. Like they've never been there. They don't have the history. They don't know how it is. So they could get rattled early. And if they get rattled early and Mississippi State sneaks off a 7 or 10 point lead after the first quarter, it's going to be tight.
Yeah, those Cowboys don't shut up if you fall behind 7.
Right.
It's early.
Right. It's going to be tough. Arizona State's offense is so prolific and explosive compared to Mississippi State. I've got to go Arizona State here to win. But I'm going to say this. I would not be surprised if Mississippi State pulls off the upset here at home. But I also would not be surprised if Arizona State beats them by 35 in Starkville. So it's a tough matchup, but it's going to be a fun one nonetheless. So super excited that we get some great non-cons, and that's one of them. So moving on from there. Let's see, which game should we go to here? There's a couple of good ones here that we could talk about here at the 6:30 time slot. But I'm just going down the list here. So we're going to go to the game that game day is at. And we're going to have Michigan at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 5.5-point favorite at home. Game's at 6:30 on ABC. It is the nightcap for ABC since game day is there. ESPN gives Oklahoma a 53% chance to win. So, Quinn, we'll slide it over to you first here.
Yeah, I'll lead with this. I think Oklahoma is going to be much, much improved along the offensive line. I think they're going to be improved at quarterback. And they have been really good at defense for a minute now. Now that they've got, oh man, I'm blanking on the name right now, head coach for the came over defensive coordinator from Clemson.
Brent Venables.
Yeah, Venables. Now that Venables is over there as their head coach, their defense has been stout. Their defense was great last year. That team couldn't win a game because they couldn't move the ball offensively. I think it's going to be a coming out party for Oklahoma, man. I think they're going to be improved this year. I personally think we're either going to see Oklahoma or Florida as a surprise, really good team in the SEC. And it'll be one or the other that can get through some of their tougher games on the schedule. And I'm not super confident which one that's going to be yet. But I think this is a W for Oklahoma. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think they outmatched Michigan down in that Oklahoma heat early in the season. This is going to be a defense. This is going to be ugly. What's the over-under in this game?
45.5.
Oh, go under. Go under. This is going to be like winner's going to win like 17-10, 13-6. Like it's going to be ugly. Okay, it's going to be.
Hey, how about that 10-9 that we saw over the past weekend?
Oh man, at the Wake Forest, man, come on, what you doing? All the way beating State Point. Yeah, no, this is going to be an ugly football game, but I think Oklahoma gets the win at home. I think there is something to playing these like blue blood teams in their own stadium. There is a actual, especially now in this NIL era. I was saying this the other day. I think whenever you have two legitimately good rosters, blue blood style rosters, who's at home? They're probably winning the game. Like, let's be real. It's going to be, I think it's about to get really difficult to go into a top end program in their stadium and win.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this game. If you've been with us for a while, not this summer, but the last summer, we were talking about teams, and I was just all off on Michigan. They just lost so much. They weren't going to be good enough. They ended up putting out a 9-4 season, really strong. But now they get this 5-star quarterback in, had a solid game one, 21-31, 250 yards for Bryce Underwood. But then the other big kicker, guys, let's not forget. Let us not forget. Alabama running back Justice Haynes is over there now, 159 yards in his first game, 3 touchdowns all over the field for them. And then Oklahoma, John Mateer, who came over from Washington State, showed out 3 touchdowns, 30 completions, and 392 yards. Pretty excited about that. So I think it's going to be more of a high-flying game. Quinn's saying it's going to be down and dirty, and I don't doubt it. Michigan likes to get in the trenches a lot. They like to run the ball. They like to really assert their dominance. And it could be essentially a lot like the Texas-Michigan game from last year, where it's just trying to just more so of that grit and grind that it took for Michigan to try and get there that they didn't have figured out yet. And this one's really tough for me because I think later in the year last year, Michigan started to figure it out. And then you saw it against Alabama. They had figured it fully out. So I'm really actually torn because I don't really fully believe in Venables and his offense yet because he's a great D coordinator. He has some amazing defenses, but the Oklahoma offense has not been able to figure out yet, and I'm hoping that Mateer is going to be that for him. And if so, Oklahoma's going to be a very scary team that's definitely going to be a top 10 team come the end of the year and that are going to have some upsets over some really quality SEC teams. Let's go weird. I'm going to go Michigan in this one. I think they assert the ball. I think that they use their offensive line and Justice Haynes. I think that's what they missed a lot last year was that Blake Corum that they didn't have. And now that they have Justice Haynes, I think that they absolutely just ravage the trenches and they're able to run everywhere. I think that allows Bryce Underwood to get set up a lot better in play action. So I'm going to go Michigan, and I think it can be high flying, but at the same point, I'm going to go like a 30 to like 21, something like that, some small.
Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood had one of the better freshman opening game performances of a Power 5 team. Now, granted, they played New Mexico, right? They played, no
Solid though. Good
Oh,
start.
I mean, solid, good start for him. And like you said, dude, Justice Haynes, unbelievable pickup in the transfer portal for Michigan.
Yeah.
Another interesting stat in this game is that Sherrone Moore is a Oklahoma alumni. So he's returning home in this game. So there's going to be a little bit of emotions there probably for him to be able to be the head coach for Michigan to go to Oklahoma and play. I like Oklahoma in this game simply because I think the offense is going to be a little bit ahead of Michigan. There's a little bit more experience there. Now, granted, Venables historically, Chase, as you mentioned, the defense is always where he shines. But I think I've seen enough so far in week one. Granted, Illinois State, there is at least some sort of an uptick from previous years, and that includes personnel-wise, not just play on the field, but personnel got better from last year. So give me Oklahoma to win this game. I got it as a 3-point win, maybe 30-27 is kind of what I'm looking at. So if that's the case and that's the over, Quinn thinks it's going to be the under. Big and an ugly contest here between two powerhouses, and Chase is going Michigan as well. But very fun game, very interesting game. Listen, we got Texas, Ohio State in week one. Now we get Michigan and Oklahoma in week two. Crazy.
A lot of fun.
Crazy. So then we will go from there, right? Again, there's a lot of mainly the better games so far in week two that we talked about have all been at 6:30, right? So then from that game, let's see, Auburn, Ball State, meh. Nebraska, Akron, meh.
Can I toss one out, guys?
What?
I'm not mad at a Boston College at Michigan State matchup. Is that kind of weird? Is that a little?
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Maybe it is. Hey, maybe it is. Sorry,
I think that's one of those guilty pleasure games. You watch it.
It is.
You don't tell anyone you watched it, but you did.
Yeah, it's like ooh, 15-11. Oh, that's kind of. I want to keep watching, But yeah, continue, Freddie. I'm sorry. I mean, I would love to always talk about how Alabama's going to lose to UL Monroe. That's always fun. No, okay, sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I think we're done on the Alabama train. However, staying in the SEC though, 6:30 on the ACC network. Vandy, Diego Pavia, the Doors, traveling to Virginia Tech here. Like I said, 6:30. Virginia Tech is a 1.5-point favorite with a 63% chance to win here in this one. Chase, I'm going to send this one over to you. And interesting matchups here against for random teams so far in 2025 playing each other, and I love it.
Well, is it random? Because last year, Virginia Tech went to Vandy and lost in overtime in week one. They did 34-27 last year. It's the start of, oh my gosh. Vandy knows how to win football games? Since when? And then it was like, oh my gosh, Diego Pavia. And then it was like, we've given him way too much media attention. Please stop it at a halt. Anywho, I'm actually very excited for this game. I've picked up on Vandy, love Vandy. Shout out to them. Virginia Tech, I was also a big truther on Virginia Tech last year as well. Thought they might go into Death Valley, host Clemson undefeated, and maybe make the ACC championship. Just maybe, but whatever. We won't talk about that anymore. But Vandy, this is the start, or maybe this is the question I'm asking. Is this the start of those games that you had at home a year ago where you won, and now you have to return to those teams? There's several of them. It's not just like you made Tennessee interesting at home, you beat Alabama at home, and
Texas.
you ran your mouth all off season. You had a great season last year, but now it's time that you start to trek back to some of these programs. And that might not bode well for Vandy and Diego, the mouth runner. Hey, trust me, I love Diego's confidence, but sometimes enough's enough. Now, if you can be Tommy Castellanos and absolutely say what you want to say and then back it the frick up for it, and I hope he does. But Virginia Tech they didn't get handled, but they got well asserted by a South Carolina team in week 1, 24-11. I'm not gonna say it was a butt whooping, but at the same point, you didn't really get off the ground either. The flight just sat in the terminal for a very, very long time. And I'm not sure they allow that to happen again. I'm gonna get weird. I'm gonna take the Hokies at home over Vandy in this one.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Have you ever watched Virginia Tech and how insane that environment is when they start playing Inner Sandman before they come out on the field?
It gets wicked.
It's really cool, right? That doesn't help you win football games, though. Virginia Tech is about to drop to 0-2.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put it out there right now. I think that loss to South Carolina stings a little bit. I think Vandy, on the other hand, hasn't had to play a legitimate game. And let's be real, that's a team that wears their confidence on their shoulders. Like they're the biggest dude on the block. Okay, I think they forget their Vandy. I think they're going to get a win here. I really do. I think they're right now, until there's a team that I think has a roster that can just absolutely punch them in the mouth. Until there's a roster that can just punch them in the mouth, I don't think they're going to drop a game. And I don't think Virginia Tech is that roster. So give me Vandy to get a win here. You keep hearing about baby boy Diego and how awesome he is until they have to play a bigger, stronger roster. So I like Vandy to get another win over Virginia Tech in back-to-back seasons.
This is a fun one. You both make great points here. Quinn, I do think that environment for Inner Sandman will help. It does help them win football games. Maybe not big football games, but I think football games like this one against Vandy. I got Virginia Tech winning this game. I think the Diego Pavia train is coming to an end. Like, I think these teams and these players that are going to play against Vandy are going to start taking Vandy a little bit more serious probably than years past. And that's going to come back to haunt them. Chase, you brought up a good point about all the teams that they got at home last year and kept it close and or beat. You don't get to do that this year. And that's a tough scene, especially when you start running your mouth and think that you're big and bad and, oh, I beat Alabama. Cool. So is 4 other unranked opponents, okay? It's not a big deal anymore. All right, Diego, I'm talking to you. Give me Virginia Tech to win this game. I think it's going to be an awesome game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be electric. I do think that Vandy's going to have a chance to win the game at the end, and they're not going to be able to do it. Listen, I remember Nick Saban last year picked Virginia Tech to have a very good year, potentially be a dark horse in the ACC. That was not the case. Probably not the case this year, but obviously I think Coach Saban saw something in Virginia Tech. So give me them over the doors. And they're shutting the door on the doors.
And I'll say this: I'm not a Diego Pavia. I'm actually a lover of Diego Pavia. I think he's a wonderful quarterback. He's got that grit and grind mentality that not a lot of guys do anymore, and he's just a dude. He is a unit. I love it. But we know Vandy's a team that is usually undermassed, undermanned. They don't have the quantity, the size, whatever, to get past a lot of these teams. And while they did get better last year, they do have some better pieces. They still don't have a level of talent that other teams have consistently. I think people left for graduation, the draft, transfer portal, whatever. They got some back, but like, Diego Pavia is one man. He's not all 11 on the offensive side, and there's not all 11 on the defense. Other people are going to have to step up, and that's why I think Virginia Tech at home is going to be able to do it. Love Diego Pavia. Love Vandy. Love their story. But one time it's a fluke, and you do it a second time. And I just don't think Vandy is able to do it a second year in a row.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's well said. I do think that's well said. Moving on to our nightcap game. This is a fun one. 7 p.m. here.
Weber State.
No, but close.
Okay.
It's a team called UCLA, so close. UCLA and UNLV here. UCLA is a 2.5-point favorite in the game. I know we've talked UNLV 2 weeks in a row, but listen, a lot of people are talking them group of 5 into the playoffs. You've got Dan Mullen, right? You've got a lot of storylines here for this team. And here they are coming in as a 2.5-point underdog against UCLA with Nico. And okay, now this is wild. ESPN matchup predictor, UNLV 73% chance to win. And they're a 2.5-point underdog. Quinn.
Yeah, they're an underdog because UCLA is a name brand in Vegas. Naps people who don't understand what's going on. UCLA is garbage. Okay, UCLA is a fraud of a P4 school. There is, I'd say, 2/3 of the Big 12 and probably 3/4 of the Big 12 and 2/3 of the ACC. I would take in my conference before UCLA. But the name brand power is the reason they're in the Big 10. Let's get that out of the way right now. I think they might be the worst football team in the Big 10, and Northwestern exists. Okay, so
who just got beat by Tulane by 20.
Exactly. Okay. UNLV, I think this is a game where Dan Mullen's going to be able to slap that up on a board and go, look, they got you as an underdog, and we've been the favorites and been having to deal with all this pressure playing nobodies when we're the favorites. Now you get to go in and try to bully someone who's favored over you, and I think that plays to UNLV's advantage. I think this is part of the reason they're everybody's like favorite is it doesn't matter what P4 team you beat as a G5 team. If you beat one, it builds your resume so much. So when you can play one that is of the quality of a UCLA, that really works in your favor because it is a P4 team that is it's a lot easier to beat UCLA of the Big Ten than to beat Wisconsin of the Big Ten. And I'm not even going for a big fish, I'm just a medium team of Big Ten. Okay. So I like UNLV to get a win in this game. I like them by probably about 10 points. I think they're going to push UCLA around.
Last week, UCLA on offense, everything was Nico Maliaba. Passing, rushing, man, almost receiving, it felt like.
50%, right?
Right, 50% completion percentage, 130 yards, and everything. He just gave everything to the Bruins. They mustered 10 points against a Utah team that won 4 games last season, 5. And this is what me and Freddie talked about last week, Quinn, when we were talking about the Utah-UCLA game. I was like, do I choose Utah? Do I not? Man, me and Quinn have been choosing Utah so much the past couple of years because of Cam Rising, and maybe it helps that Cam Rising's finally gone. They get him out of the window. Maybe it helps. But I was like, this should be – they were both bad teams. And then I'll put up 43 points. And I know hey, guys, I know Nico don't play no defense. But, man, the quarterback you just sent back in that trade over in Tennessee just – put up 45 and like 3 touchdowns, and he looked really good for Tennessee, So, did you win the trade? How much money did you pay him? How much did that dad swindle you for? I don't know. But I'm kind of with Quinn here. UCLA, what are you more than a brand right now? I mean, my goodness, I think you're handing out your tickets at the local Jersey Mike's as well. Hey, buy a sub, get 2 free tickets, please. Dear goodness, get here, please. I think I saw you break into a car the other day and leave 4 just so a kid and somebody can come. You don't have people at your stadium, and there's a reason because your brand, your product, your football team is not what it is. And mind you, I didn't pick UNLV last week, not because I'm not a ball number knower, because I was absolutely scared UNLV looked absolutely horrendous in week 1, nearly lost to an FCS opponent, and then they absolutely turned it around in week 2 against a solid CUSA opponent in Sam Houston, who played well against Western Kentucky the week before and also had 9 wins last season. So I'm not going to do that anymore this season, probably a few more times, but I won't do it anymore at all, guys, I promise. I'm going UNLV in this game. I think the Running Rebels, I think they're going to figure it out. I think Dan Mullen's going to figure it out. They need time to gel. I think either Freddie or somebody said it best. This is like the EMCC of Group of 5 football. They brought in every transfer possible. They're trying to be a reincarnation place. Like, come be great again, 5-star athlete that has not worked out in 6 schools, please. And that's what they're trying to do. And ULV needs time to gel. I think they're going to start doing that. They're showing it little by little, but I think they do it well here in this UCLA win.
Okay, Freddie, before you go, let me point this out. The fact that they can't pack the stadium at UCLA is sad. They're the largest public school in the state of California, to my knowledge. Okay, so you've got a huge student body. But the way, to my understanding, the city of LA works is you have so many options for sports teams that if you're not winning, why would I go? I'm
Right.
my money and go watch the Dodgers or go watch the Lakers or go watch the Angels or the Rams or the Chargers or USC, like insert team here, right? Just win football games and you'd start filling your stadium because people would come to watch. But they're not going to waste their time with a garbage G5 team pretending to be a Big Ten team.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Chase, I'll say this: UNLV finally went in the direction I said that they should have a couple of weeks ago, and start Calandria at quarterback, and that was the case. All of a sudden, he's up to 444 passing yards. You name it, they did what they needed to and wanted to Sam Houston in that game last week. And UCLA is terrible. They're a dumpster fire. They're an abysmal. The fact that Nico would go to UCLA just because of the money proves to me he's not a winner. He cares nothing about winning. It's money and that's it, right? I don't think that this hurts him going to the pros, without a doubt. Not only coaching is worse, but B, your tape doesn't look good, and C, you're playing in a terrible bottom end of a conference that you're going to just look worse no matter what. So here we are. UNLV is going to win this game. And I think Nico is going to have another terrible performance, and he might be benched. They may have spent all that money on him for him to be benched after a couple of weeks. And that's sad to see. And I hope that doesn't happen. And listen, I hope Nico turns it around. I never want to see players play bad or hope that they play bad. But I'm not upset at it if he plays bad because of what transpired at Tennessee. I'm just going to keep it real with you. That was a terrible situation, handled terribly from both parties, but especially Nico and his family and how whatever the rumors were. But give me UNLV to win this game here. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas lost a lot of money on this game. So, guys, thanks for watching. That's been week 2 edition here of 3 Bold Takes, doing the preview and predictions for 11-12 games here. So super excited for that. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Please subscribe, like, comment, share to your friends. Leave us a comment down below what games we got wrong, what games we got right. And we will see you guys in the next one.